I'm not doing another year.
No one wants you to.
All right, I'll do it.
I'm here.
Aw.
Sorry I'm late. The traffic on the stairway was crazy.
Everyone, please meet.
But
Clint.
I did come up with an infrastructure plan that should alleviate...
Shut up, please.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Beat 2024.
Hi, I'm 2024, and a fun fact about me...
Please don't.
Well, I thought an icebreaker would...
Don't.
Yes, sir. I want to make sure everything this year goes by the book.
What book?
The Bible.
Why the Bible?
Because he wrote it.
You're an author?
Fun fact.
Jesus.
Hey, Dad.
I'm sorry, do you have an appointment?
He's my dad.
And your dad's in a meeting.
Huh.
By the book.
Is there any chance that book has an audio version? Just in case I can't,
You can't read?
fun fact?
I really need this year to work.
Okay. Good evening. Thanks for joining me here. It's just me tonight. Our resident favorite Ginger is a little tired. A lot of things going on in capital cities across the United States. So our security guru has been overworked today, but that's okay. It's okay. Your girl's here to hold you down. And a lot. The courts was jumping today. It was like a late 1990s, early 2000s Destiny's Child. They was jumping, baby. And we gonna first of all, of course, Trump and Meadows are up to their shenanigans, but let's start in Texas. Yeah, let's start in Texas. And remind ourselves why we keep trying to convince them not to secede. Let them secede. Let them secede so Mexico can come get their damn land back. So the Texas Appeals Court ruled that emergency abortions can be banned. Yeah, you heard that right. This is a ruling despite HHS guidelines. And in this decision, it was written, do not get banned off this app too. Do not get banned off this app too. Do not get banned off this app too. You do not need another suspension. You have 60 days before the last strike comes off on this account. Keep it cute. Keep it cute. In the decision, and I quote, the law does not mandate any type of medical treatment, let alone abortion, especially when the law imposes equal stabilization obligations. Couple things. One, they finally admit in court documents setting precedent what we all know, that abortion is medical care. But the way they worded this, the law does not mandate any type of medical treatment. They are turning their replacement theory into a fucking parfait. They're making layers to this shit. And I'm not the fear-mongering type. And y'all know, I don't just comb through stuff. I don't just do the cliff notes of it. Get a buddy system. If you are not white, male, cisgendered, straight, and Protestant Christian, get a medical buddy. Create a buddy system. I do not care how minor you think the doctor's appointment is. Take someone with you. Review the policies for your insurance, for hospitals near you, and mandates within your state. We are reverting back to a time where how much you want to bet asylums are going to start popping back up. It's going to be easier for someone to get conservatorship or guardianship over you. It's going to be easier to Baker's Law someone. And what everybody is so shooketh over what's happening with the kidnapping of corpses and the organ harvesting over in Augusta right now, they're not even going to hide and start and continue to kidnap teenagers and children anymore. To keep from going off, if y'all been here for a while, then you understand my humor. I'm just going to quote Whoopi from Ghost. Girl, you in danger. And I understand how helpful being an organ donor can be. But if you are not white, do not. And I'm serious. Do not. Do not. Do not. Because let me repeat this. The law does not mandate any type of medical treatment. Combine this with qualified immunity. Combine this with the elevated rates of domestic violence within the military and police departments. But we're not done with Texas. No, we ain't done with Texas. Coming from Axios, DOJ sues Texas alleging new immigration law is unconstitutional and inhumane and ridiculous. The Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against the state of Texas Wednesday, alleging that its new immigration law is unconstitutional. The big picture: the law, which is set to take effect in March and gives local police authority over immigration enforcement, has faced criticism over its potential to lead to racial profiling. Potential. It was written to racially profile. Because nobody's trying to go after the tens of thousands of Ukrainian refugees and undocumented immigrants within the United States. A few years ago, we had upwards of 50,000 undocumented Irish immigrants. Nobody's stopping every white person on the street. But all these Hispanic and Latino Trump supporters, I hope you don't have an accent. Quick catch up. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, Republican, of course, signed Senate Bill 4 into law last month, authorizing state officials to arrest and seek the deportation of migrants who have crossed the U.S.-Mexico border without legal authorization. The law makes it a state misdemeanor to illegally cross the border and a second-degree felony for illegal re-entry, with punishments ranging from 180 days in jail to 20 years in prison. So you going from them crossing the border and working and spending money within the economy to taxpayers paying for. Child. All right. And the irony is, this is land that was finessed away from Mexico. Like the United States wanted it so badly that they were willing to put former slaves in positions, minor positions, within the government in order to negotiate with Mexico to sneak pieces of land and then just take the land. All right. Now, before we get into this Trump, well, Meadows and Trump news, they basically have the same argument that they keep arguing over and over and over and over and over again. Let's take a quick break. Before I get myself in trouble again. Yeah. But y'all will enjoy this. Let's look at the adjacency of living single and the Golden Girls. Thank you for do what you want.
When Erica Alexander credits the Golden Girls for influencing the hit Living Single, I knew there was always something so similar about these two shows I just could never articulate it. Like, if you really think about it, you can see the archetypes. Khadijah James, played by the iconic Queen Latifah, is the Dorothy Zbornak of the group. You know, she's the leader, the moral compass of the group, like sarcastic, crack jokes every now and again. Then you have Maxine Shaw, attorney at law, played by Erica Alexander. And she always roasting somebody up, especially Kyle. And she is the Sophia. Maxine Shaw was always, classy, put together, had the charm, but she will gather you in a heart. And Sophia, she had that old world charm. She was old school and she didn't play. Remember when she popped Blanche's badass grandson in the mouth? He deserved that shit. And then you got the perpetual sunshine scout, Sinclair James, played by the iconic Kim Cole. Sinclair was the definition of seeing the silver lining in any situation. And she is equivalent to Rose Nyland, played by the iconic Betty White. Both characters incredibly naive to the real world at point. You're not stupid, but at times they're less than smart than the girls that they hang out with around them. Rose Nyland's character and Sinclair's character, they're the wholesome in the group. They're the innocents, They bring, the peace back to the group. And then Regine Hunter, played by the iconic Kim Fields, is equivalent to Blanche Devereaux. Fashionistas, very vain. Now, I will say Blanche is way more of a hoe than Regine, but Regine had her time around the block. And in conclusion, the most similar part about this is they're both iconic shows that can stand on their own and they just stand the test of time. Like, people are still watching The Golden Girls and Living Single, and it doesn't honestly feel that dated.
Now, he did a great synopsis, but I want to add some things in that he missed. Both cast, the women stood alone. Yes, there were men they dated, but they didn't need the men. None of their storylines needed the men. Both casts, both shows tackled conversations that needed to be had and still need to be had. And I say still need to be had because there are people who are like, oh, I never missed a single episode of the show, but then you find out they a little phobic, they a little ist. And I call that the pursuit of happiness syndrome. Let me explain. You ever met someone and you tell them about your goals, or you hear somebody else tell them about their goals, and they are the biggest Debbie Downer ever. They'll go from hyping you up until you take that step towards achieving the goal. No different than the wife in the pursuit of happiness. And then when the success rolls in, all these people that back the naysayers or just sat quietly, they didn't help, nor did they distract, want to come out after the success. But as you're climbing the ladder, they want to nitpick and say all these things. A lot of people watching these shows, that's the same thing that they did. And also with these two shows, these women decided to live with each other and took down the stereotypes that media created, that life decided to emulate, that women can't get along with each other, that if you put more than one woman in the room, competition will ensue. There's going to be cattiness. Women can't back women. And correction, Regine was a hoe. I'm sorry, Regine was an escort. Regine put a price on it. Tell me I'm lying. If you were not in a certain tax bracket, you couldn't pry nothing of hers open. Regine knew the power that she possessed, okay? She was like, boom, 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 beat it up, boom, boom. She knew she had that wop, wop, wop. And she's like, if it's under this tax bracket, you can't get none. Don't even stand too close, okay? I don't even want the wind to bring you something. Where Blanche was truly looking for love in all the wrong places. And Blanche's self-worth was tied up in it. Regine's 401k and retirement plan was in the bedroom. Now, on to Mark Meadows. Whew. These Meadows is going on forever, forever. So, now we already know that basically Trump and Mark Meadows are arguing the same thing. Okay? One has just made it to SCOTUS, one hasn't yet. But basically they're saying either they should be immune because it was my job and, we're federal employees. Well, we used to be, and as former federal employees, we should just be, free to roam about the country. It was our official duties. Because they're banking on, everybody in the United States not understanding civics, not understanding how the government works. And they're really banking on people who have to study it and keep up on how this shit works to believe their lies. And Mark Meadows is a perfect example. You know how they say that doctors make the worst patients? Yeah, lawyers make the worst clients. But child, I digress. Meadows is asking the court, keep in mind, this is a highly conservative court of appeals, to rehear. Yes, the court that already told him, nah, partner, we're not sending this on to the federal court. Twice now. He's like, no. Hear me out again. Just hear me out again. One more time. One more time for the one time. He wants them to rehear his request to move his Georgia case to federal court. There is a difference this time. There is a difference. This time he wants all 12 of the judges to hear his case as opposed to the previous 3-judge panel. Still a highly conservative court of appeals. And this time around, he's kind of beefed up, okay? He beefed up. He went and got him a Thor for his legal team, all right? He went and got him a Thor, all right? Now, for those that don't watch cases and read briefings like it's guiding light, like I do, he added Paul Clement, or Clement, depending on who says it, to his legal team. Now, Polly man, Polly boy, when it comes to arguing before the Supreme Court and appellate courts, he's the man. He's a bit of a goat. He is a veteran at this shit. He loves a bit of a challenge, okay? And I think he agreed to join Meadows for 2 reasons. And this is a hypothesis, okay? An educated guess, if you will. One, I think he wants to challenge some wording. Okay, I think he wants to make history yet again for challenging some wording within the law. And two, Polly Paul previously told Donald Trump, fuck you, I'm not representing you. So I think this is like, for Meadows, a way of saying that he's distancing himself from Trump. So I think if this, well, we know this shit is about to get shut down again. He gonna sing. He gonna be the canary in the coal mine. Because remember, he was already down to meet with the DOJ. Then somebody leaked some text messages and Meadows was a no-show. So now regarding Trump, this motherfucker, back in court. Now, there were a bunch of briefings that 11th hour, we went through most of them yesterday because they were late in the day filings. And I don't know why Trump's team does that. Sweetheart, they're used to it, and you're fucking with courts that have more clerks than going to your city's downtown court, okay? Your regular municipal court. They don't give a fuck. Turn that shit in at midnight through an email. There is somebody who's going to be looking it over and cross-referencing it. You're dealing with the big boys. You're stomping with the big dogs, okay? But Trump, that keep in mind, a little background before we move forward. Trump is continuously citing, for everybody who's like, Trump is a threat. He's forcing attorneys, people who had to go to law school, people who had to pass bars, some of them multiple bars. Keep forcing them to cite his impeachment acquittal as reasoning for federal election charges to be dismissed. Now, next Tuesday on the 9th, the DC Appeals Court is to hear oral arguments regarding his immunity claim. Now, I keep telling y'all, folks ain't fucking with Trump the way the media and his sycophants are acting like folks is fucking with Trump. Everybody that keeps saying, Taz, you're just so cool, calm, and collected regarding it. I think you're downplaying it. No, I think you buying into the fucking hype. I'll be 47 this motherfucking year. Do you know how much gossip I've sat through in my life? Because that's all propaganda is. Gossip. And gossip to me is always illogical. It does not sound good to me because I ask questions. And I'm not a hater. I'm not sitting around waiting for somebody to tell me something fucked up about somebody so I can feel better about myself. Baby, I get up in the morning. I feel good about myself. I walk past the mirror. I feel good about myself. Okay? But let me tell y'all about this amicus brief. Now, I didn't talk about it before because with every high-profile case and with the Trump cases, there have been tons of amicus briefs, but nobody's paid any attention to them. For the most part, they have not been, there's been no arguments heard by any of the judges, nothing. So I was like, this is a little interesting, but I'm not going to say anything about it. I took some notes and I was like, you know what? I'll sit it in the archives. And once all of this is over, this might be part of a series. But honey is looking like they're going to hear arguments on this amicus brief, okay? And it looks like it's going to be a hot session. And by a hot session, that means that the panel of judges will be asking a lot of questions. There'll be a lot of engagement. Yeah, the nerd in me is coming out, okay? Like, kind of like when your team's rival is coming to town. Yeah. So the amicus brief was submitted late last month. Okay. It was filed by a watchdog group called American Oversight. Now, this is a bipartisan nonprofit watchdog group that basically wants to make sure elections are safe, politicians are cool, stuff like that. See how all these little groups are coming out the woodwork to be like, nah, Trump, pump your brakes. Now, within this brief, they're arguing that Trump should not be able to appeal the immunity decision Remember, this is coming from a decision by Judge Tanya Chutkin. We already went over Miss Tanya Chutkin. She ain't on Trump shit. She been handling a lot of January 6th shit. She like, nah. Now they're saying that he shouldn't be able to appeal until after an actual trial has happened. In the brief, it says, and I quote, he should not be able to appeal until, and I quote, until convicted and sentenced, the appeal is premature. Now remember, Trump's argument for everything else, being kicked off ballots, people trying to get him kicked off. I haven't been convicted. Haven't been convicted, but he's contradicting himself, trying to get ahead of something and ask for immunity while saying that he's not guilty. But also in this amica brief, and I quote, the DC Circuit lacks appellate jurisdiction and should dismiss the appeal and return the case to district court for trial promptly. Now, judicial scuttlebutt. And this is why I always say, be nice to your wait staff, because they are the flies on the wall when you need flies on the wall. Okay, baby. The court seems to be very receptive to this particular amicus brief. Now, later on tonight over on TikTok, I'm going to do a breakdown. Well, once they release like 3 videos they've had processing all day. Trump's history with the Supreme Court. Because everybody's freaking out. I don't know. I think y'all don't forgot how many times the Supreme Court has been like, little boy, sit down. So yeah, the white men are fighting. The white men are fighting. The Richards have decided to Richard. Oh, I think they listening to me. The Richards are like, fuck me getting a discount. And HOA, I need a vacation from my position. I'll be back. I need a little sabbatical. What you going to do? I'm going to fight Trump. I'm going to fight Trump. I've had enough of his shit. The tangerine tyrant was harvested too quickly. Okay, he wasn't all the way ripe, and now he all the way sour. And I'm loving it. Not to mention all of the rhetoric that's got everybody up in a tizzy, like he wants to be a dictator. He's quoting Hitler. Y'all do realize that further cements the case that he's disqualified from the fucking ballot for the general election. Even if you're like, well, they didn't define an insurrection. They defined not fucking with the country. They define not going against democracy. Then this motherfucker is like, put me in, coach. I'm gonna fuck this shit up. I'm gonna burn the country down. Constitution said no, the fuck you ain't. But you get white people out here scared. Marianne, what are we gonna do? Turn the fucking TV off, bitch. Now, real quick. If you ever want to know the truth, just the truth, and it may hurt your feelings, it may not hurt your feelings, but you'll get the truth delivered with some chuckles. Ask a motherfucker to tell you the truth from Ohio. Specifically, ask a motherfucker from Cincinnati, and especially those that lived around some Trump properties in either Paddock Hills or Avondale. What do you mean, Taz? I'm going to tell you what I mean. Former neighbor to my grandparents. Katt Williams got some more truth for you. Here we go.
Story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. When Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week. They just tell the stories. Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her. Then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. Like, what are you talking about? They think they can rewrite history. Guy Torrey did a beautiful special about the Comedy Store and Fat Tuesday, where he said that Steve and Cedric and Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish came through there and made... All lies. Steve and Cedric never performed at the Comedy Store at all. Tiffany was only seen at the Laugh Factory. In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to L.A. and in his first year in L.A. he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. He just did his documentary with Chris Rock where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast.
Yeah, it was.
So how simultaneously was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies, but Jussie Smollett gonna keep lying until you say we don't believe you. Like, it's important in the checks and balances of the universe that liars not get to make complete narratives for themselves.
Are you not afraid about being blackballed again? These are some power.
No, so there was a crossroads where we were both invited to an Illuminati thing, and it had to be one or the other of us, and decisions had to be made. So it was both of us, we were equal. One of us had to cut off all their hair and couldn't do the sideburn thing no more with the points. And the next person, they said, was going to get $200 million because they were going to pay him $10 million a movie to do 20 movies. And that's how the conversation happened. One of those persons turned out to be Ludacris, and the other person turned out to be Katt Williams. Now, one person ended up with a light-skinned, ugly-faced wife that's never done it. Remember I told you that if I say that, it applied to 7 people?
Yes.
It's part of what they give you. Okay? I didn't get it. I'm not mad about it.
How much money they give? 200?
Sir, Fast and Furious is on what number right
10.
now?
200 million. I might need to get me one of them old women that look the same.
That's what they all end up saying at the end of the day. Kevin told you he wasn't going to wear no dress until they offered him the dress, and then he put it on. And what did he say after he wore it? I made my own decision. Duh. But you didn't.
That is a good year. That is a good year, Savannah. That is a good year. And I wanted to play that specifically because so many times people will see someone who they finally discover. Because I realize I don't really listen to the radio a lot. I don't, watch a lot of things. So by the time I realize somebody's around one, I always get their profession wrong. Because like Saucy Santana, when I was first introduced to Saucy Santana, it was from a friend of mine who's very much so into fashion and was showing me pictures. I thought Saucy Santana was either a stylist or a designer. And then somebody else played music for me. There are people who, like, I knew about the singer Vito from songwriting and his covers on YouTube. And then people are like, oh, he's a plant, because he finally got a chance to release some songs that blew up social media. That's not a plant. Like, people will not see somebody truly working behind the scenes, building up a fan base. And then, no, he's absolutely right. Kevin Hart came out of nowhere. And every 2 to 3 business years, his fucking origin story changes. Steve Harvey and them, we knew it was bullshit. And shout out to Bernie Mac's daughter, who has been over on the TikTok, dispelling a lot of stuff, and was like, nope. Let me tell you this. This is how this shit started. I know later in life, he told y'all this. And I was like, thank you, because people was trying to Mandela affect the fuck out of me, because I'm like, I remember him from Def Jam Comedy, just like Lonnie Love. I remember her from fucking Star Search and World's Dumbest. And the motherfuckers will try to tell you, we watched it. But Kevin Hart came out of nowhere and was a leading man. Don't get me wrong. I love Luda. Get Luda a mic and some bad bitches. My chick bad, my chick hood. But and I'm no colorist. Well, look at me. Of course, I'm not a colorist. But light-skinned women ain't been that popular since the 90s. Then after that, they was just like, bitch, you got a personality? You going 50 on some shit? Like, and that's the thing nowadays. You going 50 on some shit? Or you gonna be my indentured servant? 10 years good? That's the going rate in Hollywood. Now all of a sudden, these big forehead, light-skinned bitches is everywhere. Is everybody's wife? Is everybody's baby mama? Hell, when Nick Cannon started popping out with 5011 light-skinned baby mamas, I was like, bitch, we know your type. Like, Mariah Carey is still alive, motherfucker. We know your type. We know how long you chased her. And one of her heels finally broke and you caught her. Then she fixed the heel and you couldn't catch her no more. Now, okay, we gotta get serious again for a minute. If you know me or you follow me on any social media platform for any amount of time, you know the history that I bring. And I always like to point out that colonizers love to go after money. And the biggest way that they go after money is destabilizing non-white controlled banks. Either they do like they did in Tulsa, where no one can verify who they are to claim money, or they empty the banks. And I say that as a reminder because they're currently emptying the banks of the West Bank.
The raid in Ramallah, the largest that we've seen in a very long time, started around 1 a.m. in the morning. What the Israeli army did is they came down a street just over there. They started using tear gas and sound grenades to then clear the street. Then they took over the street here with at least 20 armored vehicles, including armored personnel carriers. Now, I was witnessing all of this from my hotel balcony just up there. And what they did next was they went into this money exchange place. Let me just take you inside. What they did was they cut this door here, and then they went inside. And they actually raided a safe inside here, just below there, but you can see the massive amount of damage that's included. All this glass is from the glass frontage of this shop. So what the Israelis are saying is that they've designated 5 different locations, 3 here in Ramallah and one in Tulkarm, one in Jenin, as being terrorist financing organizations. The Yoav Gallant, the defense minister, actually signed that deal, and that's when all of these coordinated raids happened. Now, once they'd raided this, they actually went into Ramallah and raided two more shops. There was very intense clashes going on. One Palestinian died and at least 15 others were injured. Now, the clashes took place over a period of about 5 hours. Eventually, when the Israeli army did withdraw, they still came under clashes even as they were leaving. Imran Khan, Al Jazeera, Ramallah.
$2.5 million. Now, in all my life, and I started taking an interest in history, like really, really digging into history in the 6th grade when I learned how to translate hieroglyphics. Before y'all go in on me, yes, I know I'm a nerd. I'm an uber nerd. The resident ginger calls me Sheldon for a reason. I'm awkward, I'm weird, but I'm cute and cuddly weird. And I'm super nerdy, okay? Yes, I was that kid sitting around translating Latin and hieroglyphics. You have your hobbies, I have mine. Also keep in mind that I'm a PK, a preacher's kid. So, right? So, I also grew up in a time where mob culture, mafia culture was very heavily ingrained in other cultures. The triad was heavily talked about. So there was a lot of history I wanted to dig into, and I wanted to kind of understand why it was accepted to idolize bank robbers and mobsters. But if you had visible melanin and were committing the same types of crimes, you were demonized. And I say that to say, mobsters around the globe, they're known for money laundering. And when you start investigating them, you find out who they're using to launder money. It's very targeted, the strikes. You don't just willy-nilly go into a financial institution and take everybody's fucking money. But very few people will point that out. Very few people will see that. When you watch that, did you think about that? Even if you were like, oh shit, that's egregious, that's fucked up. Did you think about that? This is why I say my brain is a wonderland. And I know it. My brain functions a lot differently than a lot of other people, which can be frustrating to other people, but usually people that are up to bullshit. So makes me know never fucking mind. It's the truth. So yeah. Now, I told this story before, and I'm going to give a Cliff Notes version. A formerly very dear friend of mine from high school was a politician, up-and-coming budding politician, and was doing some fucked up shit. Me, him, and a bunch of other people that were in a friend group, one of the banks that I banked at, I learned from my papa, diversify. The FDIC insures you to a certain amount per financial institution. Catch what I'm putting down. When he got busted for drug trafficking, yeah, you heard me right. He did a good job of hiding it from everybody. They didn't go in and take our money because they did a thorough investigation and realized no money was laundered through us. His money did not intertwine with ours. And my strict Gibbs rules actually saved me a lot in that situation. It actually really saved me a lot in that situation. If y'all want a story time, I can break it down for y'all. But yeah, they're not just going into the bank. No, it is a way to destabilize. So even when, because this isn't the first time some shit like this has gone down. And when Palestinians go back to their home, or they're like, okay, I can't go back, I'll start over here. All right, I can go into the bank. I got da 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 da. They don't want you to start over. They don't want you to rebuild, because tell me where on the planet, if you are not white, male, etc., where can you start over with no money, with no cash, with no funds? It's illegal everywhere to do what they do. Look at a plot of land and just start building on it. Sabrina, you wouldn't be doing that to me. You would be doing that to them. Did you forget tomorrow is Thursday? I got time tomorrow. Tomorrow is my day for phone calls. We put get them together. We can Zoom. And I'll zoom right through the Karens. I watch Snap. I watch the Hallmark Channel. I watch Lifetime. I've done my white lady research. Let me give you an example. I'll even turn, you know what? This is what I'll do. This will be the Zoom. Hi, ladies. Thank you for joining me today. There are some concerns that I believe that we all have in common, and we should address them post haste. Now, Mary Sue Ellen, I understand that you're worried about your defective psychopathic child, but can we start with your husband, Mark Luke, and could you please keep him out of my DMs? Oh, and Barbara, don't grasp like that and grab onto your faux pearls. That's a cute heirloom to have, since you all claim to have so much money. It's not my fault that the only reason that you're here is because you got transferred from your daddy's balls to your aunt's mouth to your mom's hoo-ha. But let's continue the meeting. I am not well in the head. I created a coup at a mental ward. Actually, around this time last year. You know how fucked up of a person you have to be put on a do not enter list for Grippy Sock Casino and Resort? I'm just trying to keep up with a cousin of mine. I'm just saying, they can't see my face. They can't see I'm Blair. And speaking of white ladies on the rampage, and yes, this year will be the year. You know what? Everybody who always holds me accountable, I know y'all watching, whether you comment or not. I'm going to dedicate every Sunday to writing and completing my book. Okay, y'all will officially have history by Taz by the complete of this year. Y'all heard me say it. You can rewind and take a screen grab of it. Yeah, I don't delete shit anyway, but you know, just in case. And if you need to message me like on Sundays, be like, girl, what you doing? Get off the phone with me and get to typing. I'm gonna do that. And I say that to say this. If this bitch gets resurrected or another bitch comes up and does some shit like this, get my commissary money going. Get comfortable. This one's a doozy.
So, Kate confessed to everything. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at my previous videos. Essentially, I exposed this fellow author for review bombing other authors, particularly authors of color, debuting next year in 2024. Initially, they tried to pin it on a friend from the Raylo fandom, but then the Raylo fandom actually showed up and proved that there was no such Lily anywhere to be found in the Raylo fandom. Now, we finally have a confession from Kate, that they faked this whole conversation and did in fact make the fake accounts. It's honestly worse than if they had just not said anything. Because let's see, since June 2020, I've been fighting a losing battle against depression, alcoholism, and substance abuse, the full scope of which I've hidden from everyone in my life out of shame and a misguided belief that with the right medicine or enough therapy, I could beat it. You know, that's fine, that takes a lot to admit. But in the next paragraph, the lies start yet again. In late November 2023, I started a new medication, and on December 2nd, 2023, I suffered a complete psychological breakdown. During this time, I created roughly 6 profiles on Goodreads. First of all, the review bombing started all the way back in April. We have the receipts that prove this. Note the dates on this, and how the pictures for Kate's book and To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods were still unofficial art at this point. And then, along with 2 profiles I made during a similar but shorter breakdown in 2020, I boosted the rating of my book, bombed the ratings of several fellow debut authors, and left reviews that ranged from kind of mean to downright abusive. Okay, so you've had burners since 2022? What did you use them for? What other victims are you not acknowledging? Also, reviews like, I can't believe Del Rey spent $500,000 on this when they could have spent $500,000 on anything else. Sorry, not sorry. This is on To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chung, which is coming out from the same editor and publisher as Kate's book. So, could have spent $500,000 on anything. Do you mean you, Kate? Is this what the issue is? Are you mad that a Chinese woman got $500,000 instead of you? Then, 2 of those authors, Molly X. Chung and Danielle Jensen, are fellow Del Rey authors. Camila Cole and Bethany Baptiste just happened to be on the wrong Goodreads lists at the wrong time. I felt no ill will toward any of them. It was just my fear about how my book would be received running out of control. My memories of this are extremely fuzzy, so it's possible there are a couple other authors. If so, please know that I take full ownership of what I did to you as well. I'm sorrier than you'll ever know. There's nothing I can say to erase what I did to you. 2 out of the 6 debut authors of color you review bombed just happened to be on the wrong lists at the wrong time? What list was this, like 2024 POC debuts? Also, how is it taking full ownership to go, oh, it's possible there were other authors? Again, we have the receipts in the 31-page document. You can literally just go through it to see everybody who was affected. You're not sorry if you can't even face your own receipts. Let's keep going. When I was slapped on the wrist by Goodreads and vague tweeted by a handful of people, they mean me, I panicked that my secret was about to get out, and rather than taking responsibility for my actions, I tried to cover my tracks. Still in the middle of this breakdown, I made up the world's sloppiest chat with a non-existent friend who was supposedly to blame, and sent fake apologies for the actions of said friend, which only made things worse. Okay, I'm glad that there's like some self-awareness about how bad this conversation was, but here's something I recently realized. The version of the screenshots Kate sent to the 2024 debut group cropped out a part compared to the version I received from a different source. This part at the end with the friend going, I just remembered something important. A lot of my bad reviews were from POC authors. When the call-out post eventually comes for you, they'll call you a racist too. You're welcome. So, Kate knew they were being racist, knew it well enough to realize that this acknowledgement is better off cropped out for wider dissemination. Yet there's no mention of racism in this entire apology. This is the rest of it. I betrayed the confidence of my agent, my pub team, my readers, and my friends, and betrayed my own deeply held values. I also dragged one of my dearest friends and fellow debut authors into the mud with me when she came to my defense. I'll leave her name out of this so as not to pull her in even deeper. However, if she wishes to come forwards, I'll apologize to her publicly as well. Let me be extremely clear. While I might not have been sober or of sound mind during this time, I accept responsibility for the pain and suffering I caused, and my delay in posting this is due to spending the last few days offline while going through withdrawal as I sobered up enough to be brutally honest with you and myself. I know some of you won't forgive me, and I recognize that you're not required to. No one ever wants to be judged by their worst actions, but that's not always up to us. I'll be reaching out to everyone directly impacted, though that may take time, since I'm checking into an intensive psychiatric care and rehab facility, which means I'll be mostly off social media as I need to give 100% to the program if I want it to stick. All I can do going forwards is to try to live my life in a way that shows you these aren't empty words. Yours, with so much love and the utmost heartbreak, Kate Corain. Kate, why is your heart broken when it's you who betrayed the enthusiasm and support of the people cheering you on? I know a bookseller who worked so hard to promote your book with no compensation to themselves, and now they're fielding refund requests for all the pre-orders that they generated with their passion. You betrayed the artist who poured hundreds of hours into painting your covers and designing the fancy Illumicrate edition that will now never see the light of day. You betrayed a years-long friend who endorsed your book. Mental health medication does not make anyone racist, nor does it give you the power to time travel back to April. This isn't accountability. It's an attempt to elicit sympathy. And I am sympathetic toward mental health struggles. We've all been there. Please, no one go out of their way to harass Kate Corain some more. They have paid the price already. They need to get the help they need. But mental health and medication cannot be accepted as an excuse for racist behavior. Plenty of us are also mentally ill, and we're not making fake Goodreads accounts review bombing our peers. That takes so much effort. My medication barely gives me the energy to pummel racists. What is there to be learned from this? Well, first of all, don't do this. But if you were somehow caught in a situation like this, as the perpetrator, take the chance given to you by the victims to resolve this privately, instead of doubling down and manipulating your friends to attack the victims. Kate would 100% still have their book deal and their career if they only apologized and promised to not do this again, as the victims first wanted. Instead, well, next thing you know, you're on the New York Times, you're on NBC, you're on Washington Post, you're on Business Insider, you're on Time Magazine, you're on Forbes. This is not the reason you want to get on Forbes for. This could have been avoided so many steps along the way. This is like a masterclass in how not to handle a PR crisis. So please support the books and authors most affected by this. So Let Them Burn by Camila Cole, The Poisons We Drink by Bethany Baptiste, To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chang, Voyage of the Damned by Frances White, Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright, Night Seasoning and a Dash of Love by Katrina Kwan, The Hurricane Wars by Taya Guanzong, and The Gods of Hunger series by R.M. Virtues, who's an indie author, by the way. Let's lift each other up instead of stabbing each other in the back.
Now, between being sickly as hell and being born with no screws, girl, not you blaming it. Not you pulling the Roseanne Barr. Did Ambien make you do it? When I tell y'all that the subset of the population that is problematic, especially when it comes to race, really does not see the rest of us, especially not as human, they pick excuses, they pick shields as if their demographic is the only ones that ever are afflicted by it. Shoot up a school. Shoot up a concert. It's mental health issues. Put forth a plan of having burner accounts, using text apps to try to cover your ass, creating whole people to come to your defense, manipulating actual friends of yours to come to your defense, and blaming it on mental health. Now, I don't know about you and any mental health struggles you reside with, but for me, when shit gets rough, when we haven't realized we need to adjust the Prozac, there's no planning. There's no forethought. There's no strategy. Now, is there a whole lot of honesty? Yeah. It's kind of how I had a whole church pissed off at me in 2023. I don't regret it, though. They did need to hear what I had to say. Was it a whole manic episode? Yes. But was it rooted in the truth? Yes. And because I was manic and didn't have any restraint, did all of the truth come out? Like Mount St. Helen. Just like Pompeo. Just made all them folks crispity crackly. But hey, like their Sky Daddy, I should just be able to send them a rainbow, right? As a promise not to do it again. As a, I'm sorry. But it doesn't make you become problematic. It doesn't make you sabotage a whole nother person's life. And real quick. If you're a screen grabbing type of person, get ready. And 5, 4, 3, 2. Stop telling me as a Black woman that I am arrogant or condescending. I am none of those. I am simply a Black woman. And unfortunately for you, that's enough to be intimidating. I said what I said. Somewhere over the rainbow. While they trying to get over the rainbow, I'm trying to be under it and take. Never mind, never don't get banned. Didn't we discuss this? As always, thank you for joining me here. And I will see you all tomorrow for Thursday. Because oh no, hold on. Give me less than a minute. Less than a minute, because I cannot hold this till tomorrow. Only reason I kept getting brought back season after season on Wild 'N Out is because everybody got a lot of claps and a lot of laughs for humbling me. Mr. I'm going to keep saying that I'm insecure about my looks, but all I do is talk about my looks. Mr. I'm going to claim that my plastic surgery was through the puberty because I didn't learn anything from Kylie Jenner trying to lie from it. Mr. The only way I'm funny is to rack up an all white woman audience or predominantly white woman audience and then put out a domestic violence joke. Matt Rife got humbled. Take a look. Take a look. Take a look.
I don't really hate anybody. Here's a very humbling experience that epiphany that I've had recently. Because so many fucking people hate me for really no reason, and it really made me realize that like people only hate somebody they're jealous of. And I've been guilty of hating people, and when I really sat back and thought about it, it was because I was jealous of where that person was in their life. I felt like maybe they got an opportunity that I should have gotten.
That was a really, really good, well-rounded answer. I'm trying to wrap my head around. Do you think people who hate Osama bin Laden are jealous of him?
Yeah.
Dumbass, but yeah, they're jealous of Osama bin Laden. Woo! I ain't shit. Whoop whoop! Somebody called the whole police. Now you said we all jealousy. You can't pretend to be self-deprecating and say that we hate you because we jealousy. Woo! You was on a show full of some amazing Black, brown, indigenous comedians of color, and you didn't learn shit, okay? You didn't learn shit. Woo! Netflix, you gave the wrong motherfucker special. The next Netflix comedy special, it better be Carlos Miller. Woo! Evidently his plastic surgeon done with him. All right. Ooh, oh my goodness. Oh, my chest. Ooh, let me stop because my inhaler is, I'm looking at it, it's across the room. And we know I move too slow to be able to get it. All right. Whew. Okay. I will see you all tomorrow. And yes, I am now coordinating my pens with my outfits. As always, each one, reach one.
When white people say tall, dark, and handsome, they meant Ben Affleck.
Bro, my whole life, when people say, what's your type? tall, dark, and handsome, I used to be like, let's
go.
The blacks are beloved.
But you meant Ben Affleck.
Yeah, but you actually just meant white with brown hair. That's dark. You're black. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference.
Wow.
Ben Affleck is tall, dark, and handsome.
You're black. Wow.